The day humanity was judged weak. The sky changed first, not with thunder or fire, but with silence. Across every continent, people stopped mid-step and looked upward. A vast shadow slid over the clouds, swallowing sunlight. What had once been blue turned into a ceiling of dark metal and shifting lights. Hundreds of enormous shapes drifted in perfect formation, so massive they bent the horizon itself. Satellites went blind within minutes. Power grids flickered. Radios filled with static. And then the message came. It did not use sound. It appeared inside every screen, every device, every broadcast frequency on Earth. A tall, skeletal alien figure filled the image. Its eyes glowed with cold calculation. Species designation: human. Planetary body: Earth. You have been evaluated and found non-viable for independent survival. The words were translated instantly into every human language. You will surrender control of your world. Resistance probability: negligible. Panic followed. Stock markets collapsed in seconds. Cities erupted into riots. Governments scrambled to mobilize forces that had never been meant to face something from the stars. Fighter jets rose into the sky like ants challenging a storm. They never reached the enemy. Thin beams of light cut through the clouds. Aircraft disintegrated without explosions, without warning. Missiles vanished before impact. Space itself seemed to fold around the alien fleet, shielding it from every human weapon. From their ships, the invaders observed calmly. The Zorvith Collective had conquered more than 300 worlds. Their intelligence networks had studied humanity for decades. They saw humans fighting among themselves. They saw political division. They saw hunger, pollution, and war. Their conclusion was simple. This species survives only by chance. On the third day, the ground invasion began. Alien walkers descended into major cities: New York, Beijing, London, Karachi, Sao Paulo. Their machines were tall as skyscrapers, gliding over streets as if gravity barely touched them. Human tanks fired shells that bounced harmlessly from shimmering energy shields. Soldiers ran. Civilians screamed. Buildings burned. From the command chamber of the flagship, High Strategist Varnak watched the battle feeds. Primitive resistance, Varnak said. I estimate full planetary control within 10 rotations. A subordinate tilted its head. They continue firing despite certain defeat. Varnak's eyes narrowed. Instinct. Animals thrash when cornered. Yet something strange appeared in the data. In a ruined industrial district, a small group of human soldiers had not retreated. Their weapons were broken. Their vehicles destroyed. They were surrounded by a single alien walker. Instead of fleeing, they charged. One carried a backpack filled with explosives scavenged from a collapsed factory. Another distracted the machine with gunfire that could not harm it. The third ran directly beneath the walker's shield field. There was a flash. The explosion was crude, unrefined, inefficient, but the shield flickered. For a fraction of a second, the alien machine was vulnerable. Human rockets struck exposed joints. The walker collapsed, crashing into the street like a dying god. Silence followed. The human soldiers did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They simply stood, breathing hard, staring at what they had done. Across the alien fleet, warning symbols appeared. Anomaly detected, reported a technician. Shield instability caused by kinetic electromagnetic interference. Varnak leaned closer to the display. Repeat analysis. More reports arrived. In another city, a group of civilians had sabotaged an alien power relay using nothing but copper wire and car batteries. In a mountain region, rebels lured alien troops into thin air and collapsing tunnels. In a hospital, doctors discovered that Earth bacteria weakened the invaders' biology. Everywhere, humans adapted. They did not fight with elegance. They fought with desperation. The Zorvith calculations began to change. Projected surrender time shifted from 10 days to 3 months. Varnak felt something unfamiliar tighten inside his chest.
Fear.
They were supposed to break, he whispered. They are divided, fragile, unstable. On Earth, a message spread through underground networks. It was short and simple. We're still alive. A former physics teacher coordinated resistance in Europe. Farmers hid weapons in grain silos. Hackers cracked alien communication codes. Mechanics welded armor onto trucks and called them tanks. Children learned evacuation routes instead of math. Humanity, cornered and bleeding, did what it had always done best. It refused to die quietly. That night, the alien fleet observed flames across the planet, cities burning, but also signals of rebellion flashing like stars across the surface. Varnak stared at the image of Earth and spoke to the council. "Reassessment required," he said slowly. "This species does not behave like prey." Outside the flagship window, the blue planet turned beneath the shadow of war. And for the first time in centuries, the Zorvith collective understood a terrible truth. They had not invaded a weak world. They had awakened a species that learned fastest when threatened. The species that refused to die. 3 months after the invasion, Earth was no longer a planet of nations. It was a planet of survivors. Cities had fallen into zones of occupation and rebellion. Alien banners floated above shattered skyscrapers, but beneath the streets, in tunnels and basements and abandoned subways, humanity reorganized itself. The Zorvith collective had expected collapse. Instead, they found multiplication. Every destroyed human unit became 10 smaller ones. Every fallen city became a maze of resistance cells. The invaders ruled the skies, but the ground belonged to people who knew every street, every mountain, every forest path. In the ruins of what had once been a university, Dr. Lena Ortiz stared at a captured alien rifle laid across a metal table. "It isn't magic," she said to the engineers gathered around her. "It's physics we haven't learned yet." The weapon hummed faintly, its core glowing with soft blue light. "Can we use it?" someone asked. Lena nodded. "Give me 24 hours. They did not have 24 hours. Alien patrols were already moving closer. So the humans improvised. They tore apart the weapon, studied its energy flow, and rebuilt it with Earth-made components. It looked crude when finished, wrapped in wires and duct tape, but when they fired it, a beam of light punched through alien armor like paper. Word spread faster than any virus. Captured alien technology became humanity's greatest weapon. In Asia, hackers broke into Zorvith communication networks and replaced commands with static and false coordinates. Entire alien units marched into ambushes guided by human lies. In Africa, resistance fighters learned that the invaders' joints were vulnerable to extreme heat. Molten metal traps were set beneath streets. Walkers fell screaming in sparks. In South America, scientists discovered something even more dangerous. The Zorvith immune system had never encountered Earth bacteria. A single untreated wound became fatal. Doctors did not create biological weapons. They simply let nature fight back. High strategist Varnak watched the reports in growing disbelief. "Why are they not retreating?" he demanded. A subordinate answered, "They fight after losing limbs. They fight when surrounded. They fight when probability of victory is 0. "That is illogical," Varnak snapped. "But it is happening." The Zorvith philosophy was built on efficiency. Species that could not defend themselves were absorbed or erased. Resistance beyond a certain threshold was considered irrational. Humans did not obey thresholds. They crossed them. In an occupied city once called Berlin, a former schoolteacher named Marcus Hale became a symbol of defiance. Using hacked alien broadcasts, he sent one short message every night. "We are still here." It echoed across continents. It was painted on walls. It was whispered in shelters. For the first time in history, humanity spoke with one voice. Then came the first impossible victory. A Zorvith city ship descended to resupply troops. It was the size of a mountain, protected by layers of shields and weaponry. Human resistance units attacked from below and within. They rammed trucks filled with explosives into its landing struts. Hackers shut down its internal gravity for 30 seconds. Soldiers stormed through corridors never meant for human feet. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the city ship burned in Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Humans captured it. Inside, they found star charts, engines, weapon factories. They found the door to the stars. Varnak stared at the image of the ruined ship. "A developing species has taken one of our cities," he whispered. Fear rippled through the Zorvith command. Their simulations shattered. Their superiority no longer felt certain. "They are learning," one advisor said. "Too fast." On Earth, the captured city ship became a fortress of knowledge. Scientists worked without sleep. Engineers built weapons powered by alien cores. Pilots trained inside simulated gravity chambers. Human war was no longer limited to the ground, and the humans themselves began to change. Civilians became soldiers. Teachers became tacticians. Farmers became supply commanders. Pain no longer stopped them. Death no longer frightened them. They fought with something the Zorvith had never measured: will. Late one night, Varnak stood alone in the observation chamber, staring at Earth's glowing surface. "They should have surrendered," he said softly. Instead, the planet pulsed with resistance lights like a wounded heart that refused to stop beating. A council message arrived. Authorization request, planetary eradication weapon. Varnak hesitated. If Earth was destroyed, the threat would end. But something in him resisted. "They are not prey," he said at last. "They are becoming hunters." Outside, in hidden bunkers and stolen alien halls, humans prepared their next step. Not survival. Retaliation. Earth's counterattack. The first human starship did not look heroic. It was a stolen alien hull welded together with Earth metal, scarred by burn marks and patched with uneven armor plates. Its engines glowed an unstable blue, and its bridge smelled of oil, sweat, and fear. Humans named it Defiance. It launched from the captured city ship at dawn, rising through Earth's shattered atmosphere like a challenge thrown at the heavens. Behind it followed 12 more ships, each imperfect, each dangerous, each powered by technology stolen from their enemy and fueled by something the Zorvith did not understand: rage. For months, humanity had learned how to fight on the ground. Now it learned how to fight in space. High strategist Varnak watched the launch through long-range sensors. "They should not be capable of orbital warfare," he muttered. But the data did not lie. The human fleet formed into a loose, chaotic pattern that defied Zorvith battle doctrine. Instead of neat formations, they spread out like a swarm of insects. Then they accelerated. Their first target was a Zorvith supply station orbiting the moon. It had never been attacked before. It had never needed defenses. Human ships slammed into it with missile fire, railguns, and ramming attacks. One vessel flew straight through its shield, detonating inside the docking ring. The station broke apart in silence, drifting into space as glowing debris. On Earth, resistance networks erupted with cheers. Humanity had taken its first step beyond survival. It had begun the hunt. The Zorvith response was swift. War fleets poured into the solar system, darkening the stars with metallic shapes. Their weapons burned through space like lines of lightning. But humans did not fight like the Zorvith. They did not retreat when damaged. They did not preserve ships for future calculations. They used themselves as weapons. When shields failed, human pilots steered directly into enemy vessels. When engines burned out, crews detonated reactors at point-blank range. Every ship became a missile. Every death became a blow. Alien commanders could not comprehend it. "Why do they destroy themselves?" one asked. Varnak answered bitterly, "Because they believe something is worth dying for." A massive battle erupted above Earth's orbit. Thousands of alien ships clashed with dozens of human ones, yet the Zorvith began losing ground. Humans hacked navigation systems mid-fight, sending enemy fleets crashing into each other. They broadcast false retreat signals and lured squadrons into asteroid fields. They used Earth physics, gravity, momentum, and collision as weapons. The galaxy watched. Other species, long conquered by the Zorvith collective, intercepted the battle feeds. They had believed the invaders were invincible. Now they saw alien ships falling like burning stars. Whispers spread across the stars. "The weak species is winning." On Earth, factories ran without rest. Children learned star maps. Engineers built ships faster than the enemy could destroy them. The sky became a battlefield of light and fire. Then came the impossible moment. Human fleets broke through the Zorvith defensive line and entered hyperspace. They did not flee. They followed the enemy home. The first human vessels emerged near a Zorvith forward world, a fortress planet of black towers and glowing shields. It had never known invasion. It had never known fear. Until now. Human ships attacked without hesitation. They struck power grids, weapon arrays, and orbital stations. Ground teams boarded alien cities and fought hand-to-hand in corridors of crystal and metal. The Zorvith screamed in languages no human could understand. For the first time in their history, they defended their own worlds. Varnak stood before the council in silence. They are no longer contained, he said. They have learned to cross the void. One council member spoke in panic. We must erase Earth. Another hesitated. If we do, the galaxy will see us as monsters. Varnak's voice was low. We already are. Humanity broadcast a message across every frequency the Zorvith used. It was not poetry. It was not threat. It was simple. You came to our home. You made us learn how to fight. Now we will teach you what that means. Across the stars, oppressed species began to rebel. Supply lines collapsed. Zorvith worlds burned. Earth's ships returned scarred but victorious. Humanity had crossed a line no species had crossed before. From hunted to hunter. From victim to force. In orbit above Earth, the human fleet gathered as one. The planet beneath them glowed blue and wounded, but alive. Varnak looked upon the tactical display and saw the truth at last. They were never weak, he whispered. They were untested. A final alert flashed across the council chamber. Superweapon deployment authorized. Target, Earth. The war was not over. It was about to decide the fate of a world. The message to the galaxy. The superweapon appeared above Earth, like a second moon. It was a ring of burning light wrapped around a core of dark matter, held together by forces humanity barely understood. Zorvith fleets surrounded it in layers of steel and energy shields. Its purpose was simple: erase the planet below and silence the species that had defied the stars. High Strategist Varnak stood before the council, his voice hollow. If the weapon fires, Earth will cease to exist. No one answered him. Across space, human sensors detected the buildup of impossible power. Oceans trembled. The sky glowed faintly red. On the bridge of the flagship Defiance, Commander Reyes watched the readings climb. That's it, she said. They're going to end us. Around her stood pilots, engineers, and soldiers, some wounded, some barely old enough to shave. They had already lost cities, families, and years of peace. None of them stepped away from their stations. Reyes opened the fleet channel. This is Commander Reyes to all human ships, she said. Earth is behind us. The weapon is ahead. We stop it, or there is no tomorrow. Hundreds of voices answered at once. We're with you. For Earth. For home. The human fleet surged forward. Alien defenses erupted in blinding lines of plasma and light. Ships vanished in explosions that left no debris behind. Yet the humans did not slow. They spread out, weaving through fire, striking shield generators and command nodes with reckless precision. One human cruiser lost its engines and drifted toward the superweapon. Instead of ejecting, its captain locked the controls and aimed straight at the core. For my daughter, he whispered. The ship vanished inside a burst of white fire. The weapon's shield flickered. Another ship followed. Then another. Each sacrifice tore holes in the superweapon's defenses. The Zorvith fired wildly, trying to stop a strategy they had never faced before, an enemy willing to become the weapon. Inside the superweapon's core chamber, human boarding teams fought through corridors of burning metal. Gravity shifted violently. Alarm screamed in alien tones. A young engineer named Sarah Kim reached the control nexus. Her suit was cracked. Her hands shook as she planted the last charge. She opened a channel to Earth. Mom, she said softly, we did our best. Then she ran. The explosion tore through the heart of the device. Energy collapsed inward. The superweapon folded into itself and vanished in a silent flash that lit the entire solar system. For a moment, there was nothing. Then cheers erupted across every human frequency. Earth was alive. Zorvith fleets scattered in confusion. Their command structure collapsed. Without their ultimate weapon, their confidence shattered. Ships fled into hyperspace, abandoning conquered systems. Varnak watched the destruction from his command chamber. His body felt heavy, ancient. "We misjudged them," he said to the empty room. "We believed strength was technology. They proved it as will." On Earth, the skies cleared for the first time in months. Smoke still rose from cities, and oceans still carried the scars of war, but the planet turned peacefully beneath the stars. Human ships returned home one by one, damaged, missing comrades, but victorious. A new message was broadcast across the galaxy, not just to the Zorvith, but to every listening species. "We are humanity of Earth. We did not seek war. You came to our world and called us weak. We survived. We learned. And we will never kneel again." Silence followed. Then, slowly, other signals appeared. Worlds once conquered by the Zorvith sent greetings. Some sent thanks. Some sent fear. The galaxy had changed. In the ruins of an alien archive, a Zorvith historian recorded the final entry of the war. They were divided. They were fragile. They should have broken. Instead, they united. They adapted. They became unstoppable. On Earth, reconstruction began. Former soldiers became explorers. Children learned not just the history of war, but the value of peace bought at terrible cost. Human ships no longer carried invasion codes. They carried warning beacons. Do not mistake quiet for weakness. From the ashes of fire and steel, a new chapter of civilization rose, one written not by conquerors, but by survivors. And across the stars, the story spread from world to world. Aliens thought humans were weak, until Earth fought back.